Why is it important to do testing? For you to be able to show that you have the ability to do certain tasks and perform certain tasks and do them timeously and without mistakes or error and with proper understanding, you need to be tested to see if you can actually achieve that task. And in school we write exams. It's one method or one way of testing whether someone actually has a certain amount of knowledge. In my opinion, a very bad way of doing that test. But at Coburg we have a comprehensive way of testing people, and I mean the training, the systematic approach to training that's used at Coburg uses various ways of testing people and training people. And using that systematic approach is outcomes based. In other words, you need to make sure that the person can actually perform a task. And it's much better than you're going to get in any schooling system or at any university or college or technicon out there, where you are actually taken with a on-job trainer and you shadow people on the plant that actually doing the work, and then you actually go with this on-job trainer and you perform outcomes. And you get tested on those outcomes practically to see whether you can actually do them. Now, like I mentioned, at Coburg, we have WANO and IMPO that actually oversee voluntarily. Coburg decided to be a part of that system that does this oversight above and beyond the National Nuclear Regulator, which is mandated to oversee Coburg. And there are peer reviews done from other power stations. So you get people from various power stations in the US or Russia or France or wherever that actually come together, and they'll come to Coburg and they'll come and assess Coburg on various aspects to make sure that they are doing their jobs correctly, and they will actually give feedback to the staff at Coburg. And this is mandatory, that the staff actually gets to hear what the outcomes are and what we call AFIs, or areas for improvement. Now, if you look at that system, which is self-regulating and self-rectifying, I can't think of a better system in the world at the moment to actually improve things for yourself. Now, I've been very outspoken in the past about the National Nuclear Regulator and their ability to actually oversee things at Coburg. And I've also said that Coburg themselves, as an organization, is more self-regulatory and actually more capable of self-rectification than anything else, because of the nuclear culture that exists there, because of the testing that has been done of the staff that are employed there. And because of that, you get this culture that is of the best in the world. I mean, there is probably no better level of functioning than you would get at a nuclear power station that is considered to be in the top quartile in the world. And what that does is you sit with a group of people that are highly skilled, highly trained within the South African marketplace. And that example of how to run a nuclear power station can certainly apply to government. And when I look at some of the points that I've put out, errors in self-rectification. Errors happen at Coburg. There's mistakes that happen, but there's procedures put in place to rectify those mistakes. Now, within government, there is no such thing except a person that has been elected that you hope would be held accountable by who? Us, the public, to actually perform their jobs better. Now, when I start breaking down the actual party or gang system, as I call it, that exists within our current government, you will see that it's impossible for them to do self-rectification. In fact, it is all about self-preservation, and the entire system was set up in that way when pre-1994 negotiations were done. You all know about CODESA and many of the other things that took place, where they came up with a constitution for South Africa. And that constitution does not look after the people of South Africa. That constitution looks after the parties only. It was written by parties, for parties, to make sure that parties remain in power. Now, how does the party system work compared to what we have at Coburg, where you have this one binding license document that actually says how things should be run, and the National Nuclear Regulator that does oversight to make sure that that license document is adhered to. Us as the public should first understand the Constitution backwards for us to be able to hold government accountable. And that is certainly not the case. So that is the first flaw in the system, is that we have a constitution that allows us, the public, to vote for parties who then elect the representatives. In other words, the parties elect the president in parliament, they elect the premiers in the provincial parliaments, and they elect the mayors in the local councils. So the parties are everything. They make decisions on everything. Now imagine you had a bunch of groups at Coburg that is supposed to decide how to run the reactor, and they compete with each other. How is that going to work out? It's impossible for that to be a success, because if performance, salary, position, size of organization depends on yourself, what are you going to do? You're going to just keep on wanting to grow the size of your organization. You're not going to care about the customers that have to pay for cheaper electricity at the end of the day. You will keep on growing and growing the organization. And the interesting thing is, post 1994, when I joined Coburg, we had a staff complement of just over 800. That staff complement is now over 2,000 people, which proves my point. The moment you bring politics into any good thing, things start to expand within the system that we find ourselves in. So there's a reason why I call it the gang system. Because a party is like a gang of people. You are beholden to the party leader and the other people that have influence on the party leader and or the constitutional structure within that party. Because remember, each of these parties under our constitution must have a constitution to be registered with the IEC. That constitution can be varying, and they are varying between the different parties. The problem is that they elect a leader within that party. In other words, they use a democratic system. It's not like a business model where there's a leader of a company with a vision that tells his workers what to do so that they can achieve an end objective. At Coburg, we have a power station manager, and we have a nuclear cluster manager. We have a plant manager that oversees things. And I mean, he doesn't have people elect his decision. Yes, there are committees and so on that actually look at certain things and where input is given. But there's one person making a decision at the end of the day. Within the party system, you can elect any crony to a position, and that person can then decide who he appoints as public representatives. The public has absolutely no say over that process. And this is where the South African system falls flat. Further than that, our constitution was written for these parties to hold all the powers within the country. And then you have an excuse of a public protector and various other very weak institutions that's supposed to hold the government to account. Now, any government that wants a system similar to Coburg, where you have this body that holds them to account, that is independent, you would have a body like the United Nations, for instance, who is absolutely just a New World Order stooge organization at this stage, to actually send representatives from different countries to go to other countries, have a look at their governments, and actually give feedback to the public and give a report and say, listen here, in Cape Town, in local government, we have found all of these things wrong, and it'll be peers that actually do that review. Now, I'm not saying that that is exactly what should happen, but there needs to be some form of a review process for these government representatives to be held accountable. And then if they don't do their work properly, they should go. And within our current system, this is not possible. You must understand that all a party will do is the people that are currently there in positions. They don't want new party members at all. They want voters to keep them in power, because the moment that there is new members present, they are a threat to their position. So In the time, for instance, when I was involved in the DA, the first thing I was told is, listen here, we don't want you to actually recruit more members. We just want you to campaign to get votes. And I thought, how on earth does that work? That doesn't make any sense. And very quickly it became clear that the only interest is for position. That this party gang system is a self-entitlement system where the gang members look after the gang. And that is all that they are concerned with. Day in and day out. Everything else is window dressing. And I've seen this firsthand myself, and I'll do many videos on that still. But the proposed new system is very important. We need to be able to elect our president directly, we need to be able to elect our premiers directly, and we need to be able to elect our mayors directly. We can already elect our councillors directly. And I want the people of South Africa to start seeing this as a possibility. We need to change the constitution to do this, and it's important that we rise up and we resist the current system, because it's taking us down a path where the new world order, or order where no religion or culture will be safe anymore, will be implemented. And we are seeing this happening during this pandemic at an alarming rate. And I will cover the specifics around that. I hope you've enjoyed my background on Coburg, and I hope that you think about what I've said with regards to the party system. Go and read the Constitution and see the powers they've given themselves, and how this preamble to the Constitution, which is called which looks after our human rights, is the only time where we are mentioned. After that, it's party, 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 all the way. Think about that for one moment and believe that it can change. Thank you.